put these roller doors in, get them working. It's been a couple of days now, at least 4, I think, maybe 5 days since I painted the floor. So I'm just starting to do, you know, I wanted to leave the doors open anyway, so I haven't actually put the rails on. But I've hung the doors a few weeks back, and now I'm just going to cut the rails for the roller door guide to sort of slide down the edge here. And I basically went from the bottom of the concrete, so it goes from the top of the bracket there basically to the floor, and this one was about 2620, so I'm just going to cut that 2620, and then I got to level this, make sure these are straight, and then make sure that this sort of rib line is pretty much where I want it on the edge here. And then I will, I was reading the manual for it, and you gotta sort of bolt it down, then spin it 1.5 times or whatever around. And then after that you cut the plastic, and I think there'll be a little bit of curtain hanging sort of down, and then you make a little 400mm block of timber, and you sort of like wedge it in so it doesn't spin back up, and then you can install the guides. So I'm just going to do that now. Hopefully I'll do one first and hopefully it goes good, and then I'll work my way onto the second one. Fingers crossed this goes well. So first step, I've just sort of measured that, hung them, and laid all the screws out and the fittings out. Got to figure out where they go. So yeah, see how this turns out. So I'll just dummy fit this to make sure what I'm doing is working, and yeah, that's basically sitting right in line with that bracket, and the roller door should, come hopefully straight down that channel. So what I've done, I've just whacked the bracket with a hammer just to try and get it nice and square, and then I just had to whack it with a hammer, like the main pole, just to shimmy it over like 5mm. So just making sure that that band on the outside here is sort of lining up with that, and it's like equal on this side. So I'm fairly happy with that. So now I've got to tighten those U-bolts. Well, you got to tighten these up so it's nice and tight, and then get the weather strip on this side at 3 o'clock it says, and then yeah, rotate it forward, like I think that way, open 1.5 times, and then after that says to sort of hold it there, and then also cut this off, which might be a little bit tricky. And then I guess that's when you got to get that chock and chock this. So what I'll probably do is I'll just start cutting, a little bit on this side and then a little bit on that side, and leave a foot or so in the middle, so hopefully that holds it, and then do the final part, and then I can sort of put the chock in the middle there. Tighten it up, I it must have pushed this way a little bit, because now this side's well over and this side's, you know, pretty much right on the edge, which it won't even connect to the rail. So I just had to put a strap, sort of take it, reverse what I did, put a strap around it and then spin it back to that point. And then I've got to readjust this and then do the whole thing again. But anyway, so before maybe you do take the plastic off and put the wood chock in, just double check that you haven't moved it each side, because yeah, that just, I don't know how I did it, but somehow it ended up being readjusted, that section and this section over here. So now, you know, this band is facing sort of right in line with this, not hanging out here in no man's land. You gotta sort of slide these in as well. You can actually just whack them in, but it's probably easier to slide them in like this before you screw them down. And I'm just gonna sort of lower this down. So I got this side done. I just, you know, made a 500, 500, 500 gap between the brackets, and that's pretty sturdy now. So just finished off this upper side, and then the door's pretty much fixed. It seems to go up and down fine, so I'm happy with that. And I can see like 1, 2, I don't know, I saw another one somewhere. Little dents in the door, but I mean, it says to check all the stuff on delivery, but how can you check it when it's all wrapped up and you can't take the wrapping off until you get it up there? So I don't know whether that did that in postage, in transit, or whether that was me picking it up, but anyway. Whatever, you can't really tell. It's just a little ding there. Where is it? About there. But, you know, here's what it is. Looking pretty good. So one door's pretty much done. I just fit the mechanism. So you've just got to line up where they go, and these are the little clips that they sort of sit in on this, I don't know, whatever you call that thing. And the only problem I had, you look at this one here, and it's sort of on the, you know, a few mil from the edge, but on this one, where they've just done it, it's about 5 mil off, and the little clip has to go under that and then hook onto the outside of the roller door. But I just had to like sort of get a screwdriver and bash that staple over as much as I could, just to try and fit this one. So that was a little bit of a trick, but then I just sort of line these holes up and cut a little slit out here. So that's where the bar folds into. I cut this one a little bit short, but yeah, it's still shut, so worst case I can just drill that hole, drill this hole over a little bit more, but you know, I've got it shut. It's pretty sturdy, and I just put these little O-rings around the bar there. I think that's just to stop it from rattling around when it rolls up. So I'll do the second one a little bit better, I think, and I'll see how that goes. But yeah, one door on to the next. Annoyed with this thing because you can see that. Once again, they tell you to check the, you know, the box, make sure it's not damaged, but like it's all wrapped up in all bubble wrap and shrink wrap, so how can you check that? So that's a bit of a bummer. That's a bit of a ding. That's more ding than the other one. But I don't know. It is what it is. A little bit annoying, but I bought the kit like 6 months ago. So I don't know if I can complain about it, but it's freaking annoying. Anyway, I don't mind a little mark or a ding here and there, but when it's like an absolute something like that, it's just, you know, kind of sucks. I was actually just looking at this hole here in the foam, and it lines up pretty much with that ding, which is sort of going through that as well. So we'll look from this side, and yeah, there's a hole there too, which is pretty much where that ding is. I might not see it on the camera, but it's not even reeled on right, like it's sort of crooked as I'm reeling it off. So I'll take some photos and I'll see what happens with that. That's pretty, I think that was done at the depot. It definitely wasn't done here because, you know, I moved it by hand. I don't have a forklift on site here to move stuff around, and yeah. So anyway, see how it turns out anyway. Get the rolls all on. Just working at getting these level. So I've just done the middle. I haven't done that one yet, but just sort of put the middle one and the bottom one on. And just run it up and down a couple of times and make sure you've got, you know, a few mil of play. So as long as there's about a couple of mil play the whole way down and it rolls down pretty smooth. Probably a bit too much play here down the bottom there. Yeah, there's a little bit there. So yeah, now it's got to do the rest of them as before, 500 apart, and then the roll doors in its little socket. So this one was a bit of a stuff around. It wasn't, like I could see by the coil as the coil was up here, it was very off when I wound it up. Like this one here is not perfect, but it's pretty, you know, pretty flush. While this one was really, you know, it was like coned in and out, like there was like an inch or so difference in the, where it reels on. So I played around with it, and I figured out you can sort of undo the bolts on one side, the U-bolts on one side, and you can sort of whack it this way or whack it that way with the hammer to try and get it in line. And I think I've got it pretty good, but just, it still looks like it's not reeled right, like from the start. Like it's a sort of, the gap here to the gap there, it's just raking down a little bit. like on this one, it's pretty much in line, pretty flush. There's not, you know, about a couple mil of play in it. The dings are a little bit annoying. There's like a ding there and a ding there as well, but overall it is working. So now, yeah, just gotta put the lock on, and I'll see what happens. If I might email them some photos and see what they say, but I'm probably going to get nowhere with that. But anyway, both roll doors are on. I don't know, they're working. Not happy with it, but they are working. So with the lock, you just sort of slide it in, put a bit of tape there to hold it up. You sort of come back in. I think it's right, shorthand on the right side. And yeah, you just 2 little screws. So that just sits over that. And just, yeah, 2 screws in here, pretty easy. So that's on. And then you've got these little black clips that go in, obviously, in line with that one. So you're just going to roll the door up to the little top where you can get to it. That there, and slide that in. Put that in there. That little thing, I don't know why they don't trim these off for. Like, they should just trim it flush with the door. So it's a bit awkward to get in there with a knife to trim that off, but I just sort of held it up and just, you know, trimmed it off where I could to make it look, you know, pretty much just like this one. You can see it. So you got to get a little mark through that little hole, and then you just basically just drill and cut it out best you can to make it slide through. Get a little sharp in, just pull the little ink out and just sort of reach it in there and mark where you have to mark. So there's my little mark, just got to drill them out. Make sure that the slide, whatever you call it, the guide block, slides through nice, which it does. A little bit tight. Go on. And you're probably only need, like, that's fully, is that locked or unlocked? So make sure you have it locked so it's fully open. Unlocked, locked is out. And I'm probably just going to trim off, you know, need about 10 mil going through that, and then just make a little point on the end here, kind of like that was, just to slip through there nicely. That's pretty much it. I'm just going to finish off the other one, screw that down, and roll the doors are on. So overall, not too bad. Got about 1% of battery life left. So wrap this video up here. Both roller doors on. Wasn't too bad, but anyway, had a few dings and stuff like that, and that wasn't rolled up right. So I had to rejig it, but it wasn't too bad in the end. So anyway, definitely looking like a shed now.